employee retention. And I alluded to this just a little bit, but why this topic? And so I knew that there was the tough job market. That was pretty obvious to everyone. But as I started diving into this topic really, just surfaced, and I was like, this has to be what we talk about. Here's a few stats for you. So stat one, 60,000 construction jobs were added in the month of February. Pretty decent number. But then as I started tracking that number backwards, the last 18 months, we've seen anywhere from 30 to 110,000 jobs added monthly. So we're seeing this as a common theme month over month. And yeah, there's a lot of factors here. One being we're coming out of a pandemic. People maybe were laid off, those types of things. But I also stopped and thought about it, and I said, construction was deemed essential workers pretty early on. And there's some other factors where I'm saying, yeah, we do need this labor force. So 60,000 jobs added in February. Bottom 5 for construction on retention rate of employees. So construction work is in the bottom 5 of all jobs for year-over-year retention for employees. So with that, I do have a few poll questions we're going to fire your way throughout. While we're still kind of just getting used to Zoom here, let's go ahead and fire a poll question up about your retention rate. Have you had in the past 12 months a position that you couldn't fill? I'm going to have you vote on that one. And then as soon as you vote on that one, I'm going to have you vote on one on your retention rate as well. Kind of where that falls in the spectrum of percentage, 0 to 100%. So give you a few minutes to vote on or a few seconds to vote. We don't have minutes here. But have you had a position you couldn't fill in the last 12 months? Get some votes in there. And then the next one I would have you vote on would be what your average retention rate is. What's your turnover for employees? All right. So what I will tell you is that the average turnover in the contracting world is roughly 35%. And obviously there's a bunch of different trades that we could be talking about here, but 35% year over year attrition rate. So we're talking about quite a bit. Of that 35%, obviously we're going to have to rehire them, or of that 60,000, new hires. A wild stat for me was 1 in 3 of those employees is going to leave within the first 6 months. Perfect. You guys are right in line with the averages here on that annual turnover as well. So when you think about that 1 in 3 leaving in the first 6 months, that means 20,000 of those jobs that we created essentially in February, we're going to have to be replacing in the next 6 months. And what we know to be true is there's probably going to be roughly another 60,000 created in March. So we're going to be in this cyclical cycle of having to fill new job creation and replace people that are leaving because we're not seeing very good retention in the first 6 months. And then a final stat that I'm going to bring up a few times throughout this webinar, but 33 to 50% is the cost of the cost of an annual employee's pay to replace them. And so I kind of bring these stats up and I kind of put them back then in front of you and say, so why this topic? First off, wages are up. So we know that we're having to pay more. Unemployment is down. So there's not as many people out there. Open jobs are roughly 1 in 10. So 1 in 10, back to that poll question, 1 in 10 people have a job open that they can't fill right now. We also see voluntary quitting at its highest ever. Again, some pandemic related stuff there, but it's still the hand we're dealt. We have to play this hand. And probably the best thing, but most difficult thing to all of this is demand is up in the construction space. Demand is at an all-time high for construction. And so you couple that demand and new job creation with all of these other factors, and here we are at this topic.